Tabitha Williams, and welcome to What's Eating Harlem. We cover the most exciting community in the world. There's so much happening in Harlem. Let's get started.
So these are our wok vegetables. So a little bit of collard greens, Swiss chard. Then we'll throw some butternut squash and baby corn in at the end.
We first met him when he was the executive chef at the Cecil in Harlem. Now this rising star, Chef JJ, has a new and exciting eatery of his own. Renaissance to Renaissance. Our new series will cover the history of the Harlem Renaissance, starting in 1900 to today's emergence of a new Harlem Renaissance. And our fascinating historian, Lana Turner, will take us on this journey.
By the time you get to 1920, there are any number of African Americans who have moved, and not just African Americans. We've got black people who are coming from the Caribbean. There are people coming from Latin America. So there are people still coming into New York, and the numbers are going to get bigger.
All that and more coming up next. What if I told you you could take a field trip without leaving Harlem? Come to Field Trip, where rice is culture.
Chef JJ Johnson, founder of Field Trip here in Harlem.
Of all the places to open Field Trip in the world, why did you choose Harlem?
My claim to fame is I was a chef at a restaurant called the Cecil, and that was in Harlem on 118th Street in St. Nicholas. That place really built me up to who I was, but it wasn't just the place, it was the people. People in Harlem supported me anywhere I went, anything that I did. And I said if I was gonna open up my first restaurant with all my blood, sweat, and tears, it would be in the place that made me. So I brought it back to Harlem. I brought it to a really famous block between 115th and 116th Street in Lenox or Malcolm X. But also my family's from Harlem. So it also made sense. It's a second home to me in my adult life. I've lived in Harlem for the last 17 years. So I walk here. 90% of my staff is from Harlem, my partner's from Harlem, so we just all Harlem.
How has this journey been for you, as you said, opening your first restaurant? What has that experience been like?
You know, opening my first restaurant, I wear different hats, different times of the day or the year. You know, initially went out raising money, so now I was trying to get capital. So I've never done that before. Probably the only people I ever asked for money were my parents when I was in college. So going out and finding money was like the first step. It was something different. It was difficult. Proving to people that I was the right person to invest in the right community, in the right area. And then next was developing the right menu that talked to people, that you can eat every day, that's affordable. So I would say that was the next step because sourcing really good ingredients costs a lot of money. So sourcing ingredients that are within the ethos of who we are, that is price affordable or price sensitive, that we can move the numbers around, was like the next biggest step. So everything here at Field Trip's under $12. That's always been the goal. Really don't want to go over $12. Maybe one or two items might go over that from time to time just because of sourcing, but nothing will ever go over 15 bucks. The goal is that you come in here and you get the most complete experience at $20.
What inspires you to continue cooking?
Well, you know, cooking is the greatest connector. So knowing that you're coming into my place and I see you eating a bowl and you're getting smiles on your face, that means a lot to me and my staff. So that's why I keep doing it. It's the best language. You don't need, anybody can speak it. You don't need to know me, but you can once you get my food, you know who I am. So that's what keeps me truly going. But also what keeps me going is like as an entrepreneur or a founder, I'm employing people. I'm employing people that look like me, that are having hardships to find jobs in other places. So, you know, knowing that I'm able to employ really good people, that's also a really great motivator for me personally.
Speaking of getting to know you through your food, what can we anticipate tasting and experiencing here at Field Trip?
You experience really amazing rice from all around the world. The rice bowls are influenced by where the rice comes from. We take you everywhere from Southeast Asia to China, to the American South, a little bit of like India and West Africa. We even have rice milk ice cream that's dairy-free, and a little bit of beer and wine on tap.
Now, why rice?
Rice is the most disrespected ingredient, but we all grow up on it. And it's culture. So our slogan is rice is culture, and I'm just taking one grain at a time to connect with people.
Now, with all this talk about the food, I'm looking forward to experiencing it.
Okay.
So tell me, what can I experience on this field trip journey?
So first, I think we'll start with some quinoa bao buns. They're like sliders. Then we'll go to some crab pockets, which are the fan favorites. And then maybe I'll take you to like some coconut shrimp with green curry, maybe a little bit of sticky barbecue crispy chicken with Carolina gold rice, and then finish you off with like rice milk ice cream with hibiscus and raspberry.
I'm looking forward to everything. I haven't stopped smiling since you mentioned it, so let's go.
Let's do it. I'm gonna take you on an ultimate field trip. These are our wok vegetables. So a little bit of collard greens, Swiss chard. Then we'll throw some butternut squash and baby corn in at the end. So we change the vegetables up here that go in the bowl seasonally, so you get a little bit of different flavor each time. Can you throw those butternut squash in for me, Nathaniel? Just throw it in. Throw it all in. And then it comes with a little bit of peri-peri sauce. Peri-peri sauce is a West African sauce. Really a little bit of spice. I hope you like spice.
I love spice.
And then some scallions on top. So it's black rice. It's China black rice.
I don't think I've ever had black rice.
Black rice grows black. In China, at one point, emperors would have black rice. That means you were rich. So why you have forbidden black rice now? So all the rice we have is the rice from all the rice on the menu are from the rice communities of the world, right? So China's a rice community. India, the South. We're highlighting those communities. So there's some pineapples in there, some edamame beans.
Now, what also makes your rice healthier, as a healthier option, as you know, in comparison to going somewhere and you just...
So the rice you get in the grocery store is bleached, it's enriched. 3 of our rice come directly from the farm, freshly milled. So our black rice, our Carolina Gold, and our brown rice is freshly milled from the farm. All of our rice has vitamin B in it. Most rice does not have vitamin B. So in Carolina Gold rice, a lot of people come here and ask if we have white rice. Carolina Gold is the original white rice.
You see all this? You see the colors, textures, my black rice on a fork. Now I'm trying to make sure I get a good combination of food here.
I taste the corn. I taste the rice. The rice is like a really rich flavor.
Nutty, similar in texture to like wild rice.
It is. It's just good.
Tell them how you feel. Tell them how you feel.
It's good.
I want people to believe that Field Trip is the food that we want on a daily basis. I'm not saying that we don't want other things, but something that we want to eat on a daily basis that's clean, that's fulfilling, that's flavorful and bold is what Field Trip is. And that's where the entrepreneur spirit comes in. That's where it's risk and reward. I call it like maintaining the light in the tunnel. I'm never trying to get to the end of the light. I'm just trying to maintain the light, because once you get to the light, there's nothing else after it. And I would kind of say that describes my entrepreneurial spirit.
Electric right, world sees us tonight. We're lightning bolts in the sky, flashing with thunder.
Scene 103, take one.
I thought we'd be on the same page about this, and we're not.
How do I know the way I'm gonna respond to it?
I want you to get the vaccine because I want you to be safe.
What if you end up in the hospital? That's what I'm scared of.
If you was to die, man, that would literally kill me, man.
I hug you.
Yes. If it made you feel that way, bro, I would probably do. I love you, man. I love you too.
This one's for the real ballers and shot callers, the sisterhood of women in tech. They're discovering cures, building apps, and programming the blockchain. They're CEOs, worldwide hustlers who can make it rain. They're tearing down the old boys club and seeing big gains. Because when women in tech come together, you know they make that change.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jen Jade, and I love What's Eating Harlem. I'm back with Ms. Lana Turner, and we're picking up where we left off, speaking on our segment, Renaissance to Renaissance. Now, where we left was with the draft riot specifically. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure, I'd be glad to. The draft riots actually happened in 1863. And it happened largely because there was a draft that conscripted anyone of draft age to fight for the Union. This is in the Civil War. And there were a lot of newspapers that had whipped up a bit of a frenzy for working class white people who imagined that if they were fighting for the Union, they would then be in competition with what would then be the newly freed slaves for jobs. So they were not interested in the fight. The second thing is that if you were wealthy enough, you could pay not to fight. Then it was about $300, in today's money, about $6,000. So for $6,000 in today's money, you could buy your way out of serving. So the mobs, who were already upset about having to be drafted, went about wrecking everything in sight. These were largely Irish mobs. And they attacked not just black people, they definitely attacked black people. If you were just walking out, they attacked you. But they attacked any known abolitionist, these are white people. They attacked anyone who employed black people. They attacked, this is how low this went, they attacked what was called the Black Orphans Asylum. These are children. But because people had the foresight, they were able to get all the kids out, so none of them got hurt, but the building was burned. You know, they didn't just attack people, they burnt buildings. So they had the equivalent of the National Guard brought into New York, which quelled the riot after about 5 days.
Now if we were to pick up in, let's fast forward to 1920.
Okay.
What is happening at the time? Where are African Americans? Where are they coming from? Can you put me in that place and time? Can you paint that picture?
Sure.
Ooh, I really don't care.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
We are chopping it up with the host of Marriage Bootcamp, Dr. Ish Major. Welcome to the show.
TGIF. When you and I sit down and have a heart-to-heart with no phones, no distraction, am I your person? That's the question.
Every weekday, Kelly says, I love Ish on my screen. Is he single, asking for a friend?
Join the chat. I am single, Kelly. Who's the friend?
Kelly, who's the friend? Please comment back.
On Fox Soul.
This one's for the real ballers and shot callers, the sisterhood of women in tech. They're discovering cures, building apps, and programming the blockchain. They're CEOs, worldwide hustlers who can make it rain. They're tearing down the old boys club and seeing big gains. Because when women in tech come together, you know they make that change.
My mom wanted my life to be better than what she had as a kid. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. You always want the next generation to have something better than what you had.
Okay, so by the time you get to 1920, there are any number of African Americans who have moved, and not just African Americans. We've got black people who are coming from the Caribbean. There are people coming from Latin America. So there are people still coming into New York, and the numbers are going to get bigger. But before 1920, in 1900, let me go back to another riot, which helps to fuel this migration. You know, after the draft riots, black people are like, you know, we got to get out of here. So that's one thing that moves black folks north. Some come to Harlem, but they're coming north. Now, there were many altercations even before this, but in 1900, when you realize that this was something that was going to go on and on and on, first thing you're looking to do is, how do I get out of this?
I feel like we're asking the same question now.
How do we get out of this? And so, because Harlem has been open, we talked about trains before. We talked about how important, every time you think about a train, always think about real estate. You can do that even now. The trains also do other things. They create institutions. So, for example, the late 1800s, not only are churches and brownstones being built in central Harlem, but you've got St. John the Divine on 110th Street, late 1800s. Columbia University has just finished up their campus, late 1800s. So it's not just what's happening here, but remember the subway is coming. New York tried to get a subway before, but because of graft and other things, it never could get off the ground. The first subway in New York is the #1 train, and that runs Broadway, right? It premieres in 1904. I think the last time I was a little fuzzy on the year, but it's 1904. And it goes from City Hall up the same route that you now know of as the #1 train. The Lenox Avenue extension was built and premiered 1 month later in November 1904. So here you have, finally, the subway has come. But up to that point, there has been a real estate frenzy, like the one that happened back in the 1870s. Oh, it's coming, there's a rail line coming. We can now get from Lower Manhattan to Harlem, right? So they build all these beautiful buildings and houses and churches. Now we've got the subway. It's not an L, it's a subway. This subway has made people crazy because late 1800s, you would buy and so the other thing you should think about is above, let's say, about 135th Street going north. Much of that land lay undeveloped. So if you think about all of these beautiful houses that are built down, say, in the Mount Morris Park area, all the stuff north, they weren't really doing much. You know, think about maybe 125th or 130th. There wasn't a lot. There were some houses, some buildings, but there was a lot of open land. So the minute the idea of the subway reality really hit the pocketbooks of people who could do something, they started buying up the lots and not selling the lots. This is what created an opportunity for black people. White people weren't selling lots when they bought the lots. They were selling paper. So you would buy the lot, right? And you would hold it for 30 days on paper. But you would flip that paper to the next person who was interested in buying. He's a speculator. So he buys your paper. Well, this continued to happen until one day somebody woke up and said, I'll never be able to make that money back. How long will it take me to make this money back? And here you have, by the time the subway is built, the buildings are up, but there are very few people in them. Because you have, paper has traded even without a building. So now, you know, something that should have cost maybe $2,500, you're up to $25,000. What you get at this point is you get desperation. Okay, you already know where people are coming from. You've had the draft riots, you've had the riots of 1900, we've got the Great Migration in effect, we've got displacement, we have people being sent through the South saying, oh, you know, jobs, come, opportunity. We've got the black press that says, okay, these things are happening, you want to come north, here we are. So people are packing up and leaving what they know is, you know, some of the worst conditions that anybody could live in, imagining that they're coming to what would be the promised land. So by the time we get to 1920, we've got roughly about 60,000 people living in, black people living in Harlem. But what part of Harlem are we talking about?
That's what I was about to ask you, where?
Right, because if you think around Mount Morris Park, those people haven't left. So if you're coming to Harlem, where are you moving to? It turns out that the center of our community in 1920 is, and you know the answer,
135th Street?
135th Street.
So that's the epicenter of Harlem.
That is the epicenter of Harlem in 1920. So there are a couple of things going on at this point. You got 60,000 people in 1920. 1918, you got 60,000. 2 years later, you have 80,000.
That's all the time we have for now. But join us next time on What's Eating Harlem. See you uptown.
And I'm the envy of the stars. Yeah. Me and you taking flight on this electric ride. World sees us tonight. We're lightning bolts in the sky, flashing with thunder. And it's beautiful all over, yeah. Let me feel vibrations going through my system. Send shockwaves to me. Send shockwaves to me. Now make it go boom. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Send shockwaves to me. Send shockwaves to me. Now make it go. Tremors deep inside my veins. From the echoes when I hear your name. And I'm losing grip.